Points and miles theft isn't something you hear about often, but it's supposedly on the rise. Thieves are starting to realize that it's not only easier to steal points, but it often can be done more discreetly than just trying to charge things to your account. In fact, it seems like a lot of people who have had their accounts hacked or points stolen did not realize that it had happened until they went to use their points to book a redemption. How's it going, everyone? It's Ernest from TripAstute. In this video, we're going to talk about the problem of points theft, what to do if it happens to you, and how you can reduce the risk. I don't want to sound like an alarmist. As with everything in life, a lot of what we're going to talk about today is common sense. However, since I keep hearing stories of people with this experience, I thought I'd dedicate a video to this topic. Specifically, I want to talk about why it seems to be on the rise, what to do if it happens to you, and some tips to keep in mind in order to keep yourself safe. But before we dig into the topic, welcome to our channel. TripAstute is a travel channel that is focused on sharing ways to make travel easier, affordable, and more enjoyable. Traveling can be stressful and expensive, so we're looking for ways to help you maximize your experience through travel tips, points and miles, and innovative gear. If that sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing. Points theft is on the rise. In fact, I mentioned it in my award wallet video a few months back. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense too. While banks are getting better at detecting fraudulent charges and activity that relate to your spending, there is less effort spent on monitoring your rewards and points. And not everyone is checking their points all the time, which means that a savvy thief could redeem your points for a while without you even knowing, or the bank detecting any unusual activity, especially if they change the contact info on the account. With all the recent hacks too, there is a ton of user data floating around the dark corners of the internet. Since a lot of people will use the same password for multiple accounts, hackers are likely using this compromised data to see if they can access other accounts. Add to the fact that a lot of banks, including my Chase account, don't have robust security options when logging into their website. It makes it hard for the average person to protect their account. While most points theft results in gift card redemptions rather than transfers to travel partners, since it's harder to trace, it's important to be vigilant about any unusual activity. If you notice missing points, the first step to take is to report it immediately to your issuer or bank. Just like with any fraudulent charge, the bank or issuer will want to do an investigation on how the theft occurred. Since using your points means that the thief most likely had access to your account, you'll want to immediately change your password and verify that your contact information is correct. This is especially important since a hacker will likely have changed your contact information in order to intercept any account alerts. From what I've read, most people have been able to get their points back. However, it might take some time for the banks to perform their investigation and come to a conclusion. Also, if you have a co-branded credit card like the Marriott Bonvoy card or United Explorer card, you might also have to contact the loyalty program to determine how the points were stolen. They will likely need to be involved to get your points back as well. Lastly, you may want to consider reporting the incident to your local law enforcement, especially if you suspect that the information was stolen from a local source. Even just notifying them of the incident can help them collect data for an investigation. Having these additional data points may help them to pinpoint a suspect, especially if others have reported similar instances or activity. I hope none of you have to deal with this situation. I know it's a huge pain and can be extremely frustrating. For a lot of us, points carry a lot of value, not just in monetary terms, but also the fact that they represent future vacations and travel. So just like with anything valuable, it feels like a huge violation to have them stolen. As always, I want to share some tips to help reduce the risk of being a victim of points theft. Number one, use a password manager. I know I've talked about password managers in past videos. They are a great way to not only keep all your passwords unique and difficult, but also remove the headache of trying to memorize multiple passwords. For example, I've had one password for years and I use it daily. I have it generate random new passwords for me, which then gets synced to all my devices. When I need to log into a website or app, I can have it pull the password once I supply my master password. 1Password also detects when an account has experienced a data breach or even recommends when you should change your password for specific sites. There are many other password managers out there. For example, Fiona prefers to use LastPass and it seems to work well for her. The bottom line is that you should be creating complex and long passwords that are unique to every site you visit. And the only way that I know to do it efficiently is to use a password manager. Plus, it may seem counterintuitive, but having an app that creates and manages complex passwords gives me a lot of peace of mind. Knowing that every account that you use has a unique and difficult password really helps to minimize the risk when there are security breaches. Number two, avoid open network connections. You know those free unsecured hotspots at airports and cafes? they're often a way for thieves to intercept your data, especially your login information. I recommend avoiding these connections or using tools to secure your data. For more information, see our video on the topic. We go through why these connections are often dangerous and how you can reduce the risk. On that note, number 3, use a VPN. If you're using a connection that may not be secure, I recommend using a VPN service. There are a ton of VPN providers out there. I personally recommend private internet access. It works seamlessly with both my computer and phone, and I use it pretty much whenever I'm on a public network. The VPN basically creates a tunnel between you and the website or service that you're accessing, preventing others from intercepting your traffic. We also did a video on using VPNs when traveling, so check it out for more information. Number 4, avoid public USB charging ports. This is a security vulnerability that I recently learned about. Apparently, some public USB charging ports have been found to be altered in order to install malware on your device. I have to admit that I've been guilty of using these USB ports in the past, especially at hotels and airport lounges. Since you've likely packed your own charger when traveling, I recommend using it instead of those open USB ports. Not only will it be more secure, but you can often charge your device faster using a MultiPort USB charger. In fact, my Anchor chargers can charge multiple devices faster than most USB ports and default chargers. Number 5, track your points with a Ward Wallet. A few months ago, I did a video on a Ward Wallet and why I think it's one of the best tools to use for tracking your credit card and loyalty points. Using a Ward Wallet can also notify you when there are changes to your point balances, which can be extremely helpful for detecting points theft. For more information on a Ward Wallet, see our video on it. Number 6, check your point balances if you get a normal fraud alert. If you happen to have a fraudulent charge appear on your account, I suggest also checking your point balances. Most times we're more concerned about getting a new card number and physical card. We won't even check to see if our points or rewards have been affected. While having a fraudulent charge doesn't mean that your points balances have been compromised, I think it's good practice to check them anyway. Number 7, beware of phishing emails or calls. Since stealing your points usually requires the thief to access your account, your login and password are going to be more valuable than your actual credit card details. One of the easiest ways for thieves to get this information is by simply asking you for the information. Be very wary of any emails or phone calls requesting that you enter your login information or provide any password details over the phone. In fact, even when I get emails alerting me to a new statement, I'll avoid clicking on the link and instead just log into my account like I normally do to view the statement. That way I know I'm not going to a spoofed website that is meant to steal my information. Personally, I would love to see the issuers and banks start to implement more security measures when users log in. I think it would be great to see the issuers use more multi-factor authentication measures like time-based passwords and tokens. Our financial accounts are so important to our lives. It doesn't make any sense that we're not using the most advanced security measures to protect them. Have any of you experienced points theft or know anyone that has? Also, do you have any other tips to share? Please let us know in the comment section below. If you're interested in applying for a credit card, we would love it if you used our link in the video description or on our website. It's an easy way to support our channel, especially if you found our content to be valuable and helpful. Also, if you need any help with picking the right credit card or developing a card strategy, sign up for our free card consultation service. You basically fill out a questionnaire and schedule a 15-minute video or audio call with me to review your recommendation. Hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If so, please give us a thumbs up and consider sharing the video with others. It really helps us with growing our channel and community. Until next time, travel safe and travel smart.